Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the Casual Heroes WrestleCast. We have an interesting experiment that we're going to try here tonight. I am not really one of the Casual Heroes. I'm just a tagger on, an add-on, special guest, if you will. My name is Mark Radulich, the mandated reporter. And joining us tonight are the actual Casual Heroes. First off is the man who, as Gavin once said, is very good at hating things, not so good at liking things. Mr. Jed, how are you, sir?
Hey, man. I like that you called your idea an interesting idea.
It is an interesting idea.
It's like we have a very interesting, smart idea, well thought out. Mine.
That's right. I am nothing.
Like, time out. Like, I do think it's a good idea. I do think it's a good idea, but I like that you put your idea over before it even started.
Yeah, well, you know, I am nothing if not strong of ego. And the man who holds it all together, the leader of the Casual Heroes himself, Mr. Gavin Napier. How are you doing, sir?
I think you give me far too much credit. I don't know that I've held anything together. In fact, Jed has commented strongly about my lack of effort.
Yeah,
all right,
he mails it in. If anybody holds it together, it's Chris, and he's the biggest piece of shit out of all of us.
Yeah, let's
right.
Go ahead and make Chris feel more important than he is. What could go wrong in that situation?
You know who the most important person right now is?
And then I just realized Chris isn't here.
Yeah, it's like you can't a guy when he's not even in the room. So, crazy idea.
Kind of like,
so my crazy idea, right? I went over to Gavin last week, and I said, hey, Gavin, I got this crazy idea. What if, in preparation for this year's Elimination Chamber, we got in the Wayback Machine and we watched the original Elimination Chamber match from 2002 and did some live commentary over that? And, Gavin, what did you think of that idea?
After I realized what you meant, because I sent you a message today to clarify what the actual plan was. Were we commentating as if we were watching this the first time and auditioning for Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler's jobs, or just as we're watching it now and offering thoughts and opinions on something that happened 12 years ago? I would have been up for either one, honestly. I just wanted to know what we were getting into. I think it's a good idea. I think that with the gimmick matches like this, it's something that we can easily revisit from time to time.
All right, so what you're going to hear is myself, Jed, and Gavin watching the Elimination Chamber from 2002 in just a few moments, and we're just going to live commentate. You're going to give our thoughts present day. We're not going to act like this is still 2002, but, you know, we're just going to react naturally. So we've all got the video queued up. We're all got it on mute so it doesn't play into the microphone. And I'm going to count us off here. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, and we're all going to hit play, and let's get into this, shall we, gentlemen? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I love the enthusiasm. And 3, 2, 1. Play. Everyone's got this muted, right? Let's do it.
Yes.
Who will survive the Elimination Chamber? I don't even remember who wins this, to be honest with you. This will be like watching this for the first time for me because, well, let's see. We've got the introductions going right now, and out comes the Millennium Man, Mr. Chris Jericho.
Is it Chris? Yeah, it's Chris Jericho.
I have absolutely fantastic news for everyone.
What's that?
I have an ad playing for the next 15 seconds.
Good. You might want to skip ahead when this finally gets going. I will tell you that Chris Jericho in 2002 looks to be the unified champion, I'm guessing. That was the belt that he was wearing when he walked out.
Give me a count on where we are as far as seconds.
We are at 1 minute and 8 seconds. Chris Jericho is mugging to the crowd. Yeah, Jed, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Okay.
that's the unified title, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, right? But this is when maybe a shred of research should have been done by one of us, but yeah. Oh my God, Earl Hebner.
So did you guys?
God.
Yeah, this is.
Ew, there's a band playing. Ew, who's the band?
I thought maybe it was Fozzy. I'm not sure who it was.
Was he doing
Chris
the Fozzy gimmick 12 years ago?
That's so hard. I don't even remember. No, he was doing Fozzy, for a long time. It didn't become like real relevant until later on. You know who that is? That's Saliva.
Oh boy.
I mean, without even listening to it, I'm fairly certain that's Saliva.
Yeah, that's Saliva.
While nothing important is going on, I'm at 215, 216, 217, 218. Am I on track with you guys?
You're about 3 seconds behind.
Okay, we can live with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
227 around.
So my
I just got
question
a
to you guys.
WWE World in Times Square. So
did you guys?
Okay, I actually did. Anybody go there?
No, I've
they're
never
doing 3, 2, 1, boom.
in New York.
Oh yeah, I went there once, and I remember I dragged my dad there so he could buy. Yeah. Oh, Booker T. There we go. Here's a guy who won't take any bumps that matter. I made my dad take me there. I was like 19, and the look on my dad's face when he had to pay like $19 for chicken fingers, just because they were called Mankind chicken fingers. They're like, come on, Dad, they're fucking sick.
I think it was 2001, maybe 2002, the Royal Rumble. I came home for. I had just broken up. I was living in Massachusetts. I had just broken up with my girlfriend. I moved from Cape Cod to New Bedford, and I went home for the weekend to watch the Royal Rumble. And my friend and his girlfriend at the time took me to WWE New York to drown my sorrows in a bottle of whiskey, and I proceeded to vomit from roughly 42nd Street all the way to Jamaica Station.
That's a long time to vomit.
Yeah. I mean, there were breaks. There were breaks.
By the way, speaking of which, here comes Kane.
Yes.
God, this was 12. Kane at this point had been in the WWE for how long, and still had another 12 plus coming.
In 2002, he had been Kane for 5 years, and had been there just in general for 7.
It's impressive.
It is, and it's odd to see Kane in the old Kane getup. It's also odd to see Booker T with his little short dreads.
Yeah, I never liked the short dreads look on him. So I like how everyone has reached up.
He looks like what Don Imus would refer to as a nappy-headed hoe.
Oh,
I like how everybody in this keeps grabbing the chain above their head.
Yeah.
Like, literally, everyone has.
Well, it is kind of weird.
Everyone has walked out so far and grabbed the chain right above their head. It's been hilarious to me.
Is it bad? I don't think Booker should be in this match. Like, no offense to Booker. I like Booker. By the way, Shawn Michaels is out with, like, shoulder-length, complete girl hair. He kind of looks like Ally McBeal. Booker, I don't know why Booker's in this match. Like, it's going to come out. I mean, I know why Vince doesn't think he should be in this match either, but I don't understand. Like, what can he do in a match like this?
Take a bump, take a pin.
He can't take a bump, though. I mean, he's never been the big bump guy. Compared to Shawn, Jericho, and Kane?
That is one girly
I
ass
guess
haircut.
he's going to
You are
take a pin.
absolutely right. And this, and I now remember who. I do remember who wins this now, and I remember the hair. I remember the hair and who wins, and it's all terrible. It's a terrible image.
But how terrible? Well, you just gave it away. How terrible are Shawn's tights too?
Yeah, because when he went away, he used to have very, very flamboyant tights. Right up until he gave the title to Austin, and then he comes back, and this is his big redemption match, and he looks like plain Jane with a terrible haircut.
All right.
Give me a time count because Daily Motion just decided I needed a 1.5-minute long advertisement.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
Did
you get the hair conditioner commercial?
6:53.
The what commercial?
Did you get the hair conditioner commercial?
No, I don't know what kind of commercial it was. I didn't pay attention. It's just a bunch of models walking around.
Yeah, I'm at 6 minutes.
There's RVD.
Rolled into the ring.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of sideways and terribly. RVD's here. That leaves so far Booker T, RVD, Kane, Jericho, and Shawn Michaels, which is just an incredibly loaded match so far. And this is back. I know everyone's like, "Oh, who cares?" But this is back when RVD actually used to do spots and try.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is when RVD
mattered.
used to mean something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know who's up next?
Here comes
the
Triple
inventor
H.
the inventor of the Elimination Chamber match. Did you guys? I'm gonna get this fucking story out if it kills me. Did you see in the news today that Triple H said that he was the inventor of the Elimination Chamber? That he had sketched out what it should look like.
I will be perfectly happy to call him on it because it was clearly Eric Bischoff's invention.
Eric Bischoff got the storyline credit for it, according to Triple H.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Bischoff who came up with it on TV. I don't know who really came up with it. Probably Pat Patterson.
That's what he's saying. But behind the scenes, Triple H is saying that he's the one that came up with it. That his whole thing was that he had sketched out sort of, like a cage with little cages inside of it for people, and then they would release them. And then they took his concept art and created the Elimination Chamber. And he was saying in this interview that, this thing was a monstrosity, something that he had never envisioned. He also talked about, wrestlers would envision themselves in the match saying, oh, if I get in there, I'm going to do this spot and that spot. And then you take the bump for the first time on that rail out the grate outside of the ring, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to rethink every spot that I plan to take in this. So I'm just now realizing
so why not replace that?
Before. Chris Jericho actually has the WWE title that Brock Lesnar had, and then Triple H has the old
Which actually
WCW
was
title.
At one point. Yeah, the belt that Jericho wore was used as their undisputed title, and I guess it just morphed into the WWE Championship.
It did when Brock Lesnar refused to wrestle Triple H, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Remind me at some point I have to correct the record on everything I've said about Eddie Guerrero, because I keep telling my wife about it, and she was like, "Ian, you keep getting the story wrong. That's not what I told you." And so I have to on a future WrestleCast, I will correct the record on Mr. Eddie Guerrero.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. Chavo Guerrero, kid fucker. So, all right. So Trips is like, and then you take one bump on the metal grating and you decide to, change everything about your plans. Just replace the metal grating with something that doesn't hurt as much to land on.
Then the match isn't as brutal.
Not everything has to hurt. Huh? Everybody
hurts sometimes.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's like, oh, it really hurts. And it's like, okay, well, just, put more padding out there or something.
So,
is anybody watching this going, oh, shit, that's metal out there?
So this is now the second commercial Daily Motion is forcing me to watch.
I haven't had one commercial yet. I'm watching...
I'm not getting a commercial now. I'm getting Rob Van Dam punching Triple H.
No, they locked up. Triple H pushes Rob Van Dam into the corner, showing, with the muscular strength that he's got. Rob Van Dam turns him around, and he's throwing punches and kicks. It's like mixed martial arts in there, everybody. Rob Van Dam taking it to Triple H. What a maneuver. All right, I got that out of my system now.
All right, good. There we go. I'm a little bit ahead of you guys, so I'm going to pause. Let me know when Trips gets thrown up against the cage for you.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay.
Right now, Rob Van Dam is doing his best Daniel Bryan impression.
Jed, what's the time where you are?
I'm at 11:24.
Okay, I'm going to pause at 11:24 and wait for Mark, and we can all resume this until Daily Motion throws another commercial at us.
Okay. Well, I've got about 20 seconds then. Actually, Rob Van Dam just dumped Triple H over onto the grate that we were referring to is apparently so hard it'll change your mind on things. Rob Van Dam certainly put you were talking about
earlier. Looking at what you were talking about earlier with Triple H claiming that he invented it, apparently Eric Bischoff confirmed that on Twitter. A fan asked him if there was any truth to what Triple H said, and Bischoff said it's true. It was only his idea in storyline.
Okay. I am at 11:26.
Loosely translated, that means give me a job. What did you say?
All right.
Loosely translated, that means can I please come back? All right, I'm at 11:26. I'll count us off again. 3, 2, 1, hit it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Rob Van Dam swings and puts Triple H back into the chains again, doing it up because we got a third time there, and we've already broken the door. What a sturdy contraption this is. Go ahead, Gavin.
I think one of the things that really made this work and what really added to the appeal of it is I know Vince is loath to give WCW any credit whatsoever, but more than having this chain link contraption with plexiglass pods scattered around everything, there's an unnecessary backflip from Rob. But more than the appearance of it, I think what made this work was the War Games aspect of it with the timed release of various wrestlers. And we've got some color from Triple H. That's not PG. But the idea that you're going to have random insertions of wrestlers into this match, much like War Games did, and it would give you the opportunity to build the psychology of the match where it's going to allow for double teams when there's two heels and one face, et cetera, et cetera. I really think that was more of the recipe for success here than anything else, because if you have this contraption and you just put 6 guys in there and it's an elimination-style match, then it seems like a lot of money spent for nothing really all that important.
Well, I'll go you one better. I think
with
this was
to Jericho.
This was a missed opportunity by the WWE to redefine what the Survivor Series was, because for years it had been Chris Jericho's hanging on to RVD, pulling him into the deep. For years it had been the 5-on-5 or the 4-on-4 elimination style matches, and I think it was around this time that they tried to get away from that, and the traditional Survivor Series match was more of a treat than it was the defining aspect of the pay-per-view. I think they missed an opportunity here to make the Survivor Series the home of the Elimination Chamber. This would be the new Survivor Series marquee match. And in a sense, they did do that by giving it its own pay-per-view. But I wish they had just left the Elimination Chamber as the Survivor Series match. A yearly Elimination Chamber at the Survivor Series, I think it would have been a nice fit.
Well, there was only one problem with that. The roster at this point was so incredibly deep that they needed Survivor Series matches. They needed to dump the roster out. They needed to dump 8 guys out at a time in matches like this. Just because of, William Regal was towards the bottom of the mid-card at this point,
I see what you're saying. Well, though, I don't see why you couldn't have loaded it up with traditional matches and this be sort of the king of them all. Go ahead, Gavin.
What they ended up doing was rushing it out. They couldn't wait for another Survivor Series to roll around, so they trotted the next one out at SummerSlam So you had a little less than a year before they used this again. And then they would go almost a year and a half and trot it out for New Year's Revolution 2005, which was sort of an odd choice because January is typically the home of the Royal Rumble, and they crammed 2 pay-per-views with 2 huge gimmick matches into that year. And it seemed like it was going to be a January thing because that's where they kept it the next year. It ended up on the ill-fated December to Dismember pay-per-view in 2006 for the ECW Championship, featuring Big Show versus Bobby Lashley versus Hardcore Holly versus CM Punk versus Test versus Rob Van Dam. Every year since then, they've kept it into a nice groove where they throw it out every February. Originally at the No Way Out pay-per-view, which gets renamed in Germany for obvious reasons. And then the Elimination Chamber was what the pay-per-view was renamed in America in 2010. So it's now their traditional February gimmick pay-per-view.
Yes, it is. And we've got our first entrant from the pod. Chris Jericho is in the match. He's paired off with RVD there for a little bit. RVD's going high. And we have our first leap onto the chain link fence. Turns around, and it's a splash to the outside on the one Chris Jericho.
I would like to know who was responsible, if not Pat Patterson. I would like to know who was responsible for putting these matches together backstage.
An interesting question. Who knows?
Well,
I mean, all of these guys can ring general a match pretty much. I would imagine they all had sort of an input and sort of got together and figured out, because for the first couple of minutes it was just Rob Van Dam having a match with Triple H. Now I've got a triple threat match, and I'm sure that's kind of how it was approached. It was, let the participants of each section of the match kind of work out their own business. And I'm sure some of the stuff was called in the ring.
Well, and
yeah, you got
beyond that. Go ahead, Jed.
Well, I'm saying you have Trips, you have Shawn, you have Jericho, you have Kane, and you have Booker T. The least experienced, main event guy there is Rob Van Dam. You could almost come close to probably calling this in the ring with those guys, but it would be interesting, who wrote down the spots and shit like that. But I'd say back then, the way this was done, this was probably straight Patterson, right?
Most likely, but more what I was thinking about was who's making sure that Kane's not out there for 40 minutes. Who makes the decision that Michaels is going to be the hot entrant, similar to a hot tag, whenever he comes in? Does he clear out 3 guys, 4 guys, all 5 guys? Because I don't remember how this match plays out. I remember who wins, but I don't remember how the match plays out, and I don't remember, who gets which entry. But like you said, it's devolved into a triple threat match, and sort of like that War Games 2-on-1 spot right now, where you've got Jericho and Triple H teaming up against Rob Van Dam, which is interesting given the history between Jericho and Triple H.
I think Jericho knows where his bread is buttered, and that's why he's teaming up with Triple H. He was like, oh, no, I was there at WrestleMania 18. You're not going to get me again, not this little black duck. I'm Triple H's best buddy now. Speaking of which, what belt is
this? Has there ever been... What?
What belt is this even for? Was this just for the World Heavyweight Championship, or was it for both belts, or what?
It was for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's for Triple H's belt.
Why is Jericho even in this match, then?
Maybe he wanted to reunify.
This was part of the brand. This was at the height, I think, of the brand extension. So I'm curious as to why the SmackDown guy was even in this match in the first place. But whatever. That's sort of a moot point right now.
I thought the world champions had freedom to move back and forth. I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot about the brand split because I always assumed it would end much sooner than it did.
Here's what I remember. when you had Brock Lesnar as the unified champion, the way that it was supposed to work was, you would wrestle one guy from Raw, and then you'd wrestle a guy from SmackDown, and then you'd go back to Raw again, and you were supposed to alternate. So after Brock Lesnar's feud, I think, with The Undertaker, he was, I may have this reversed, but after he fought somebody on SmackDown, he was supposed to come over to Raw and fight Triple H, and he didn't want to do it. He was like, nope, I'm staying on SmackDown, go fuck yourself. So they said, okay, at which point Eric Bischoff gave Triple H the World Heavyweight Championship. And then now you had 2 belts.
I have 2 questions about the guys that are in the ring right now. The first, as regards to Triple H, has there ever been anyone in wrestling that it's more obvious when they're cycling on and cycling off of steroids than Triple H?
Oh, he doesn't even hide it.
No, like he'll go from having back knee and bloated and ripped musculature at the same time to literally having a muffin top. And
his muffin top is all that. I say that as
we'll be back to my video in 30 seconds. We'll be back to my video in 15 seconds, in 1 second, and in 27 seconds.
So yeah, I've given up on the stupid commercials. Oh, monkey flip of Rob Van Dam over Booker T. Booker T with the big leg across Rob Van Dam's chin, and he's out. This is reminding me of like a Royal Rumble where you just kind of look around and everyone else is laid out taking naps. Booker T's right. Dude, Rob Van Dam has not had a minute's rest in this entire match. Literally, like he started off with Triple H, then Chris Jericho and Triple H were working him over, then Booker T jumps in, and now those two are having a match against each other, while Triple H and Chris Jericho take a siesta.
Are you guys at 21 minutes?
Yes.
I'm at 22, so I'll slow down.
You must have ad blocker on, which is why you're not getting the commercials.
I have that.
I don't know why you guys don't. So
because I believe in the free market.
Yeah, well, that's your big mistake. RVD just seems out of place in this match. I guess did anybody think he would have a chance of winning this match back then? I don't think so, right? I mean, other than me because I was an idiot.
Well, for a long, long time, Rob Van Dam was arguably in the Daniel Bryan spot where he was the most over guy on the roster that couldn't break through to the championship. And much like Daniel Bryan now, people kept expecting it to happen. I think really the one guy that's in this match that you should have never expected to win is Booker T. And that's because people like Booker T don't win world championships.
What do you mean by people like... Oh, yeah, that's right.
Former WCW wrestlers. That's what I mean, Jed.
Oh, okay.
That's what Triple H meant. Just asking.
Yeah. So
Rob Van Dam was
going to the top of the booth.
Yeah.
Let's see if he jumps any higher than he needs to, or if he just falls. Yeah, that's a fall. His legs hit. That's just mail it in, Rob.
Yeah, he didn't jump at all. He just kind of
fell
off of it. Yeah.
No, and he did both his legs hit the ground before he even fucking did the splash. That was 3 out of 10.
Missile dropkick from Booker T. Rob Van Dam is dead.
Well, the other,
I
said I had 2 questions, and I asked about Triple H. The other question is, to what do we owe the incredible durability of Rob Van Dam? Because if you remember, when he got to WWE, there were always a lot of complaints from other guys about how stiff he worked and how hard it was to have a match with him, and because he was just constantly beating people up in the ring. And for his part, really, the worst injuries that I can remember Rob Van Dam ever having are when he got his eyelid split in a tables match in ECW, which is a freak incident that there's absolutely no control over, and the jet ski accident that, again, it's a freak thing. There's no way to predict that's going to happen, where he broke his heel. And I don't know that Rob has ever had an in-ring injury.
Well, I have an answer for you.
Wait, when did that jet ski accident happen?
That was what ended his ECW television title reign.
Motherfucker, I didn't even know. I thought he hurt himself on a baseball slide.
No,
that was like But I know, but the work angle was that he hurt himself doing a baseball slide or something.
Yeah, but legitimately it was a jet ski.
Oh. Well,
I have another ad.
Oh, no way.
Do.
No, remember when he missed a one night in ECW because he was hurt. No? One of the one night stands he missed?
I don't remember it, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't remember it. But there's
because
if you're talking about the are you talking about the WWE versions of One Night Stand?
Yeah, the WWE versions. He came out with crutches and
there was only two. What do you mean he missed one? There was two. One of them he won the title.
Well, guess what happened at the other one?
Everybody hit pause real quick and give me an idea of where you are on time, because I just got another commercial. I don't know where anything is right now.
Okay. Well, first of all, Kane's in the ring and he's clearing house, and I'm at 25 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay. I'm going to go to 26, and I've got it at 25:56. You guys let me know when to hit play.
Okay. Kane throwing Chris Jericho over the top rope, following him outside to the grate. Business is about to pick up, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. He picks him up.
Yeah, there goes.
Body slam. Press slam. Boom. Right into the chains, and Chris Jericho melts down to the ground. We're at 26 minutes on the dot. Oh, Jesus Christ. We have our first broken pod of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Kane has thrown Chris Jericho into the pod. They really did. They left nothing out of this match. They did just about everything they could with the chamber.
Yeah, and that would sort of become one of their contrived spots as you went from year to year, is who's going to break the glass, who's going to go through the glass. And didn't Goldberg cut his arm up pretty badly on the glass in one of these? I know he has a long history of injuring himself when punching through things, but didn't he do it again in one of these?
I don't remember that.
I remember. Say no, he did that to a limo, but
I do remember there was the one Elimination Chamber where somebody was hiding in their pod and refused to come out.
That was also Jericho.
That was Jericho. Okay. Okay, so to answer your question,
Jericho,
why
he was in the middle of his greatest heel ever run.
Gotcha. To answer your question as to why Rob Van Dam is durable, my answer to you is simply, and I will explain it if you wish me to. My answer is naked Midian.
Well, I believe that warrants an explanation.
Absolutely.
There's a beautiful line salt.
Midian, otherwise known as Phineas O. Godwin, made the point of saying that guys like Billy Gunn and all these, shredded individuals in the WWE tend to injure themselves more often, and his rationale was it's because they're so ripped and so shredded that their bodies have absolutely no give. So, you tweak them any which way and stuff starts to tear. Whereas he had enough fat on his body, not a tremendous amount, but enough where his body was more durable. It could take a higher impact. There was more, padding there to protect the bones and muscles. So he got injured less. And if you look at Rob Van Dam, he wasn't the most muscular of guys. He wasn't shredded. He wasn't ripped. He had, I wouldn't say a gymnast body, but but the closest thing you're going to find in wrestling. to a gymnast. So, if you look at some of the stuff that he did, it was always a lot of stretching and a lot of, yoga type stuff, and that probably lent itself to him being injured a lot less often than, say, your Billy Gunns or Triple H's, as they walk across the ring and tear quads and such.
Fair enough. We're getting ready to come up on one of my absolute pet peeves of these matches. When there's one person left, Gavin. When there's one person left, why do they turn off the lights and send the light blinking around like we don't know where it's going to stop? Just go ahead and open the pod. The mystery is gone at this point.
You have
Wait a second. Thora Birch?
Theater.
Thora Birch was 16 when she filmed American Beauty?
That doesn't seem right.
Are you?
Yeah,
like
her parents signed. No, her parents signed a waiver so she could be naked in them. What is that about? Anyways, Chris Jericho.
And we've lost Jed to pornography.
No, I'm watching, but I just saw that out of the corner, Matt. All right, so here's the thing. Have you ever? I don't know if the Elimination Chambers. I can't think of another one of these, but holy shit, are they taking fucking breaks in this? And we're 26 minutes into a match where not everybody has been working the entire time.
And Triple H disappears for a lot of this match. Have you noticed that Triple H spends a lot of it just kind of like holding on to things? Like he gets up, kicks somebody, and then he'll take another bump, and then he's down for like another 5 minutes.
In fairness, I guess, because you got to remember, these guys are all main eventers, but none of these guys are spring chickens at this point either. And
I would like to point out they did not turn off the lights for Shawn Michaels. So there.
Okay,
that's
something that they've added. That's something that they've added later in the other Elimination Chambers that they need to go back and watch the first one and realize, hey, we got this right. Yeah, those tights are atrocious. Good Lord. But if you watch an hour-long match between two guys, you take, for example, Flair and Steamboat or Flair and Wyndham or even Flair and Sting, it doesn't, to the naked, untrained eye, look like they're taking a lot of breaks. But you have to understand that in a one-on-one match like that, every headlock is a break. Every chin lock is a break. Every toss to the outside where the referee counts to 8, gets the count broken, counts to 8, and the guy comes back in. Those are all, little 30-second breathers that they can catch here and there. I don't know that if anybody's watching an Elimination Chamber that they're going to be okay with seeing a headlock. And so the rest breaks in these matches are not disguised nearly as well.
No, but then this is a very frenetic match. There's a lot going on here. It's like a battle royal or Royal Rumble or something like that, where the guy can fall out of frame and take a break because the action is somewhere else. And so, it's there's a lot of misdirection going on here. So, Kane and Chris Jericho, for example, can work the left side of the ring while Triple H takes a cat nap on the right side. And who's going to notice? Because everyone's focused on Kane and Jericho. Speaking of Kane,
all right,
he goes to the tombstone, and super kick from Shawn Michaels and his atrocious pants. And everybody is taking a nap.
Yeah, Kane
into the pedigree.
Into a lion salt. He just ate 3 finishers in a row for his elimination. And
he is the big red machine.
Well, I was saying that's perfect for Kane and his character throughout history because it keeps him strong. He doesn't go out to a super kick or to a pedigree. He takes finishers from 3 of the top guys in the company and goes about his business. So
Shawn just bleeded.
So we're down to Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Jericho. 2 of the 3 men in the ring have belts. Makes sense. This was back when champions actually won matches, which is good. It was a nice trend back then. Oh, Chris Jericho just clotheslined Shawn Michaels over the top rope. Did not do the old skin the cat thing, but that's the Royal Rumble gag. Chris Jericho walking around like he's John. Say what?
You're way behind me. Let me go back here. Because if you watch, when Jericho throws Shawn into the ring, well, not the ring, the fucking whatever the big chain thing is, Shawn just obviously blades on the way down to the ground.
I'm paused at 34 minutes. Somebody just give me a cue on when to hit play.
Okay.
Shawn was one of the historically worst at hiding his blade jobs. Like, anytime he was getting ready to take a slingshot spot or something like that, it was just blatant. He never hit it very well.
Go ahead and unpause.
I'm at 34 and pause too. Oh, yep.
Okay, I'm gone. I'm rolling
Shawn,
again.
But you know what? I don't.
The beautiful crimson mask of Triple H.
Yeah, I don't deduct points for not being able to hide the fact you're blading. You know, just as long as and now Jericho's opening him up. Just as long as you make an effort. I mean, that's all I really can ask for. But
I don't even care.
Mean, you don't. Not everybody has to be. Yeah, not everybody has to be Abdul the Butcher about the fucking thing.
Well, and in fairness to the guys in this generation, you know, Abdullah didn't have a television camera 6 inches from his face when he was doing it either. At some point, you need to explain to the cameramen, hey, at this point, these guys are going to get color. Could you maybe not zoom in on their left hand and their forehead?
Well, what we see here is Shawn Michaels taking a small razor and running it across his forehead. And Dusty Rhodes proceeds to unzip his forehead. Dude, seriously, every 10 seconds I get a commercial.
Yeah, I
think
switched it over to Firefox. I closed down Google Chrome, switched it over to Firefox, and I've not had a commercial since.
Ah. Okay, well, I'm lazy and not going to do that.
Again, we're back into the triple threat mentality here, where Triple H and Jericho will form this sort of working partnership throughout the match. I can only imagine how that's going to end for one of these parties. But they're working over HBK at this point. And what a story they're going to tell here. You know, Shawn Michaels is now put in the position of being the resilient babyface. The sheer awfulness of Shawn Michaels' appearance at this point in history, like the Dutch boy haircut and these very bland tights with
again,
fake cowboy boots.
This is the worst he's ever looked without being on a severe amount of drugs. It's like he cleaned up.
I would argue that he looked worse here than he did on drugs.
That's my point. Like, if you look, he had a broken back going into WrestleMania 14. He was on drugs, and he was a raging asshole. And he looks 100% better at WrestleMania 14 than he does here. And this was supposed to be like his big rehabilitation match, you know. This was the big. I mean, this is what Jed was crying about last week when we talked about the list. It's like, well, what about this version of Shawn? Well, clearly it doesn't count for anything because he has a stupid haircut.
Well, 2008 Shawn is my 2008
it definitely
is my
got
preferred
better
Shawn.
here.
Yeah. But yeah, when Shawn first came back, because Shawn was my favorite, when Shawn first came back, after a little bit, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go with Triple H because Shawn's pretty bad. But, you know, he improved.
Well, even the ring work
work
was as good as ever. The ring work itself was good as ever. He looks like he's about 10 pounds underweight for his wrestling weight. He has a stupid haircut, and he's wearing terrible pants with even worse boots. He doesn't look like the Heartbreak Kid. He looks like Dennis Stamp.
I was going to say, it looks like, you know, when they get a celebrity to come wrestle in a match, and the celebrity doesn't have, like, ring tights or anything, or, you know, anything like that. It's like, you know, like Drew Carey has to wear a tracksuit to wrestle. That's what Shawn Michaels kind of reminds me of. It was like I'm a celebrity and I'm being put in this match as a gimmick, and so this is just something I pulled out of my closet to wear because I don't know what else to wear in a wrestling match.
He's 3 months into his comeback at this point, though, because his big comeback was at SummerSlam this year when he had the no-holds-barred match against Triple H.
Which was a good match.
Jeans.
It was a very good match.
That was at Nassau Coliseum where The Rock dropped the title to Brock Lesnar, and I was there for that. And that was Shawn Michaels came back and he wore jeans to fight Triple H. That was a fun match. And I believe that was also tables, ladders, and chairs too.
It could have been, yeah.
That was a fun pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I got good memories of that one. A lot of fun memories from that pay-per-view.
Oh, here it is. Here's the dissension. Here's Jericho and Triple H having a falling out. Jericho shoves Triple H, and now we've come to blows. And it's amazing looking at this how much bigger Jericho was at this point than he is now. But I'm going to say he's got a good 25 pounds of muscle on him compared to when he shows up now, at the very least.
But I don't think he looks good here. I think he looks kind of fat and out of shape. You know, like, okay, fine. Do you think that's because we've gotten used to seeing him show up at 190 pounds with a six-pack and looking very lean? Because in 2002, he didn't look out of place at all here. He fit right in. No, and I'm not necessarily debating that point either. It's more of, you know, I'm looking at him and I'm not taking anything else into consideration. And I think he looks too bulky. I think he has too much weight on him for his frame. Almost to the point where, yes, it looks silly, but he does look like everybody else around him.
Yeah, and this match is an excellent example of how well the wellness policy has worked. Because none of these guys, with the exception of Triple H, looks this way now. I mean, even Kane, it has a different look to his body. There's the chin music out of nowhere.
Oh, Kane was enormous.
Yeah, Kane was huge at this point. We're down to two. We're down to a very bloody Shawn Michaels and a somewhat bloody Triple H.
Nobody puts you over like your buddy.
Well, they're certainly not going to go to the trouble of putting other people over.
Now, why would you do that? Shawn Michaels doing the dance of the drunken monk. We've got punch. We're going punch for punch here. Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
And I think one of Triple H's most underrated moves, Spinebuster a la Arn Anderson. But I always enjoyed those drunken leg brawls where they sort of teeter-tottered around and threw punches. It always brought back memories of Terry Funk in his heyday.
Well, I tell you, now that I'm watching this, and I think this is actually going pretty well, my genius idea that I had, I think if we do this again and just sort of pick a match to do, I would love to do live commentary over Hogan versus Shawn Michaels, just to try to describe the kind of bumps that he was selling and the bumps that he was taking for Hulk Hogan. I know a lot of people.
One of the favorite things that I have acquired completely legally through recording devices of my own directly from the television and never used for public viewing or sharing or anything of that nature is a complete documentation of the Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan feud that started with Hogan's return, where he saved Shawn Michaels from Muhammad Hassan and Daivari and runs all the way through their match at whichever pay-per-view it was that you just mentioned, where it was a SummerSlam where Shawn is just a maniac. And the glass is broken again. For unbreakable, bulletproof plexiglass, it seems to crumble beneath the weight of 200-pound men fairly easily.
Yes, this was put together by union workers.
Maybe it's not bulletproof on one side. Maybe it's bulletproof on one side and spun sugar on the other.
It's gimmick glass. It's gimmick glass. Did we lose Jed to pornography again?
No, I'm watching this, and just looking at Shawn, and I can't help but notice, guys, the time for resting happened already. Like, can we get to the finish of this fucking match now? Like, I love Shawn, and I like Trips. I'm not one of those guys who always likes to bury Trips or make jokes about Trips, but it's just like, guys, you've rested. Trips, Trips has abused the fucking time on the ground in this match, but
let me
who watching this is like?
Well, allow me to be the devil's advocate here, and we'll have Gavin sort of weigh in here as the arbiter of me and you, as usual. Maybe it's not so much resting as it is trying to sell the brutality of the match. I mean, it really goes back to trying to make fake fighting look real, and it doesn't look very real, as many people have pointed out, is if you've thrown people through glass, you smashed them into chains, you've slammed them into everything that you can find, you've beat the living hell out of each other, and then they pop up a la John Cena like you've done nothing, it kind of takes the steam out of it. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they're resting, as it is they're trying to tell you a story of how brutal and unmerciful they've been to one another. And if they just pop up and jump around and do nothing, then you're not going to buy that it's as brutal as they want you to be, as they want you to think it is.
Well, I don't think they should just immediately pop up, but it's getting to the point where, and by the way, Triple H is the size of a house. You can't say that he's not blown up, or 6 times so far in this match. But it's like, guys, this match is now 45 minutes old. Who in the audience wants more of this? Because this is a fucking shit show. None of them can see. At any point, 80% of the audience can't see you. I understand, like, this is a spectacle and shit like that, but no. Like, Trips when he's down on the ground, when it's just him and Shawn left, after he threw Shawn through a wall, that's just sucking air. And here comes
I was going to say, it's a little of column A. It's a little of column A and it's a little column B. I think Mark is onto something with the idea that they're trying to sell, even if it's not the brutality of the match, as much as the brutality of the spots. Shawn just got chucked through what we were told was unbreakable glass, and he's laying there a bloody mess. And they want to give the camera time to zoom in on that, show him crumpled and twitching amidst the wreckage. And at the same time, I'm sure that they're probably taking some liberties to suck some extra oxygen into their lungs while that's happening. And they're probably stretching it out a few extra seconds every time it happens. Now, I will say it right at the 45-minute mark, when they're in the middle of the ring, slugging it out, trading punches. You got two of the better workers in company history just slugging it out, nothing fancy, punch for punch, and the crowd is involved. They're actively engaged in the match, and there's Shawn with his big spot with an elbow drop off the top of the pod. But I think it's a little column A and a little column B there. And you see these guys, as the match gets ready to go home, they start to pick up the pace a little bit. Shawn does his elbow drop. They're getting what's probably going to be their last breather of this match before they hit the home sequence.
By the entire time we've been having this conversation, Triple H has been on the ground.
He's lulling Shawn into a false security. All right, I am watching Shawn tune up the band. Is that where we are collectively?
Yeah, he's staggering around with his stupid haircut, starting to slap his leg now.
Yep. There we go.
There we go. And no, he catches the... Oh, he's reversal. He's going for the pedigree. Boom, shakalaka. Why did Shawn take that on his shoulder? Most guys just kind of turn their head and, understand that they're gonna go face and chest down first. He turns like vertical and takes it on his shoulder. it seems a little puss to me.
I think he just doesn't know how to take that bump at this time. I mean, if you Google, I'm sure you can find Shawn taking the bump correctly, right?
I'm sure it's around here somewhere.
But then again,
WrestleMania
probably
12,
can't.
Ultimate Warrior took that shit on his nose and jumped back up again.
He was jacked out of his mind on adrenaline and the power of the Warriors. But you can't find video of Ric Flair taking a bump properly over the last 40 years because he's taken everything on his hip. So some guys... And when you get to be a Ric Flair or a Shawn Michaels, you can take the bumps however you want. Doesn't matter. Not like anybody's going to criticize you openly for it.
Here we go. Shawn Michaels hit the sweet chin music and blammo! We've got it. We've got a new world heavyweight champion, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, as Jet has pointed out, is taking a nap.
We've got to freak out. We've got to win.
And here's where they drop the blue confetti. It
took them 3 whole months of delayed gratification here before they put a belt of some form on Shawn Michaels after his triumphant comeback. But I don't think anybody was unhappy to see Shawn at the top of the card at this point.
I think people were happy to see that Shawn Michaels hadn't died.
Yeah, I think most of us expected an overdose by this point.
Oh,
okay.
Come on. How dare you.
I don't think there's anything left to say about this, so I'm going to stop my video. All right, folks, so that
Shawn's
was
hair.
So
there's a little bit more to talk about Shawn's hair-wise.
That's a whole other podcast.
How it managed to get worse throughout the match.
Shawn's goofy fucking hair. All right, let's just kind of go around the table here. I'm going to assume the leadership position like I do. So, Jed, I'm going to go over to you first. Now, you've been kvetching for the last 10, 20 minutes now about how everyone, this is like a Mexican work affair. Everyone's taking a siesta. It's a little racist. But, I mean, overall, what did you think of the very first Elimination Chamber match?
I thought it was okay. You can see the matches have progressed and got better since then. They've got, guys in better shape and stuff like that. The cardio of wrestlers today is a lot better than back then. But it just kind of was weird that it was always at no point other than the beginning on Rob Van Dam was it a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2 or anything like that. It was always just a series of 1-on-1 while 4 guys sucked wind.
So for you, that kind of takes it. That didn't tell you the match was brutal and these guys are giving it all they got. This was telling you we got a bunch of lazy bums with bad cardio in the ring.
I just think they didn't know how to really handle a match, like that. And then through the years, over time, they've really figured the shit out.
Okay, Gavin, your thoughts on the Elimination Chamber?
Largely the same. At the time, I remember watching this and being impressed with the spectacle and with the idea that a new significant gimmick match had been introduced. Because as a wrestling fan, you always like seeing them push the envelope and come up with something new. Same with when the Royal Rumble debuted. Same with when TLC debuted. Not so much the same when WCW did a 60-man battle royal and called it World War III. But by and large, you like seeing new gimmick matches. And I think the spectacle of it maybe made it seem better than it was at the time. But certainly they've learned how to work the match, how to pace the match better. Maybe we don't need an additional 35 minutes of wrestling after everybody's come out of their pod. And so they've learned not to overdo it. And I think by and large they're better now than this one was. But this one's worth going back and watching from time to time just for the names involved with it.
I think for my part, I do remember watching it initially the first time around, and I thought it was a fun match. I'm with you. I was definitely taken in by the spectacle of the whole thing, the idea of something new in wrestling. The design of the cage was interesting. It was all black with black ring ropes. It had the grates outside. chain links. It was something we hadn't really. It was a derivative of a cage, something we hadn't seen before. The pods were an interesting thing, and I was anxious to see how the wrestlers would play with it and use it, do different things with it, and certainly they did. None of them acted as if they weren't in there. They all reacted to being in this thing. They would grab the chains, they would do stuff with it, and that's really all I can ask. I'm kind of with Jed. There's a lot of laying around, but I almost think that's Triple H's main event style. It's do something, spend the next 10 minutes, gasping for air. Because I've noticed that people complain a lot about some of his WrestleMania matches, and they make a lot of the same complaints. So that might have dragged down the quality of this one. I'm with you guys. They get better over the time, but this was a good start. This was by no means a bad match. It's just one of those where it was a good starting point and a place for others to sort of pick up the ball and run with it. And I think that's where we're going to call it a night, gentlemen. Gavin, any last words here? You want to take us out?
Go over to thecasualheroes.com. Check out all the stuff we got on the site, audio and written content. You can go over to iTunes, rate us 5 stars, subscribe. We're also on Stitcher now. If you use that, we have an RSS feed as well, which will allow you to access our content. Go over and listen to the Radulich and Broadcasting Network on Blog Talk Radio, all of the lovely and wonderful and entertaining shows that are taking place there, from the final editions of The Right Hook to Long Road to Ruin to From the Cheap Seats with Jason Teasley. Between the two of us, there should always be something for you to listen to, whether it's on your drive home, at work, killing time around the house, whatever the case may be. You can find us on Twitter at The Casual Heroes, on Facebook.com/Casual Heroes, and on Instagram at The Casual Heroes. We don't get real creative with those things. Once we sign off here, we're going to see if we can raise Chris from the dead and start a WrestleCast to preview the Elimination Chamber 2014 edition properly. So hopefully if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, you'll tune into that and enjoy it even more and keep coming back. We can be your drug of choice if you'll let us. We'll be happy to drag you into a world of audio addiction. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.